Madam Chair, we're recording.
Okay, very good. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you tonight to our town council meeting. It's Monday, September 28th, 2020, and we're starting a little bit later. I think it's like 7:02, according to my computer. So I would ask, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Valerie DiPaolo.
Here.
Izek. Is Bill with us?
No, Bill's not with us at this moment.
Lombardi.
Here.
James Morelli.
Here.
Paul Marai.
Here.
Christopher Poulos.
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky.
Here.
Del Santo.
Present.
Victoria Triano.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you say the prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we ask that you would keep your hand upon us as we commit ourselves to the citizens of Southington. We pray for wisdom and clarity in decision-making, and we humbly ask for your continued blessing upon Southington. Amen.
Amen. Would you all join me as we do the flag salute, please? Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. First order of business are the minutes from last meeting.
I'll make a motion to.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a second?
Matt Del Santo. Del Santo, second.
Okay, thank you, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any additions? So we have a full unanimous vote on the minutes. Councilperson's communication, please. Does anybody have any council matter communication?
Me, Vicky?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple things as we enter into the fall season. This weekend will be our first weekend of the Apple Harvest Festival. So unfortunately, as we all know, we don't have that event, but I'd like to encourage residents to take advantage of some of our local orchards to celebrate apples a different way. I had the pleasure of going to Carabin Farms this past weekend. They have apple picking, pumpkin picking, you name it. And Rogers Orchard also has a variety of fall-based activities to participate in. So while we don't have our traditional festival, unfortunately, I'd like to encourage people to take advantage of some of what we do have available in town. And also, although we don't have our actual festival, I'd encourage people to go to the Southington YMCA. They're hosting a virtual road race, which they're asking people to run, walk, or hike anytime between this Friday and Sunday. There's multiple options available on their website, so I'd like to encourage residents to get involved this festival road race at the YMCA.
Oh, good stuff. Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, Mike Del Santo.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Vic, I didn't hear you.
I'm not sure who's speaking.
It was Mike Del Santo. I have
Mike.
something
Hi,
brief.
Mike. Yeah, please go
Hi.
ahead, Michael.
So it seems like we have a pretty bad connection tonight with the meeting. I blame Chaplinsky. Anyway, so the governor came out with his phase 3 opening, which is set to begin next week, which is going to greatly increase the capacity, 75% for restaurants in town, which I'm very happy that that's going to happen. I know I did reach out to a couple of restaurant owners, and they said they were very happy that this is going to occur. So we are on the right track, and I just wanted to, wish the best of luck to all of our local restaurants and businesses in town where the increased capacity is going to help them further. Remember, everyone, in these trying times, if you can, please shop local, please spend locally. Every restaurant in town is having a really rough time. So if you can, try to support the local businesses in town. That's it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are great words, and it helps us more now than ever. The folks that have restaurants have been hanging on, and now they can at least go up to 75%. So I'm glad you brought it up, Mike. Thank you. Anybody else? Paul, do you have something?
Madam Chair, actually, I wanted to just make a request to the town manager to look into something. If not sure if that's appropriate for now. It's regarding the packet.
Yes, go ahead.
Would now be a good time. Mark, maybe just for a quick look. I've been getting my packet in Monday afternoons, the hard copy. And in the past, I used to get them either Friday or Saturday. If it's possible to take a look, I'm not sure if they're going out maybe a day or so later, or if we're, having COVID delays with mail, with the UPS or not. Maybe look at when the packets are actually going out, and if there's any
They do
possibility.
go, Paul, if I may, they do go out Thursday afternoon. They always go out Thursday afternoon. Obviously, the chair and I finish it on Wednesday. It goes out Thursday. The email goes out Thursday, usually a little bit earlier to the council, and then the packet goes out Thursday afternoon. So I will obviously we'll make sure that happens. I know it happened this time because I was there when she was taking it to the post office. So I know it went out. The question is why it's taking that long to get to you is another question. So I'll check on that, Paul.
It's only the last couple, 2 or 3 times, Mark. I'm not sure. Maybe if there's just some delays in the mailing,
Yeah, it could
Thanks,
be.
Mark.
I mean, obviously, I hear there's ballots floating around. So
Thank you, Mark.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Val.
Thank you. So I just want to remind everyone and our residents about the What is Color, What is Race presentation at SOCA for the month of October. So everybody can go online through SOCA and register for the different sessions. And I know Councilman Del Santo had asked at the last meeting if there was going to be live streaming, maybe recording. It sounds like they're trying to live stream the sessions and they will be recorded. So I think that would be great, for people if they want to view it later on. There could be some opportunities to use these sessions for workshops and training. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the library is piggybacking on what SOCA and this presentation is doing. So they have, for the month of October, they have a lot of programs relating to diversity and inclusion, racial equity. They're having an art exhibit. They have some author talks, and the staff put together a really nice resource list of books for adults, teens, and children around the topics of diversity, LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter. So really a nice way to have the presentation going on at SOCA and then the library for the month doing, what they're doing with their programs. So just wanted to put that out there to everyone. Madam Chair, I didn't know, I just wanted to take a very quick minute to just acknowledge the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I just really, she touched my life in strong ways. I'm sure she's impacted many. Just really wanted to point out that, what she did, the opportunities that she presented to both men and women for gender equality is just tremendous. And, the first woman to lie in state in the U.S. Capitol, I think that just speaks volumes. So I just wanted to acknowledge that tonight. And, what an inspiration to so many of us. Thank you.
Val, that I agree. Thank you so much for bringing her name up tonight. It was one of the only things where I think both sides have agreed upon that she should have that. So it was quite a thing.
Madam Chair, your microphone is very soft.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's hard to hear you.
Is that better?
Yep, a little bit.
Okay, I'll do my best to come in a little bit. Chris Palmera, yeah.
Val just reminded me, and she just said, Vicki, you and I had the pleasure of attending our last diversity committee meeting,
Yes.
not last week, the week before. So I'd just like to thank Mark, you, and the members that served on that committee. There were some great. I look forward to Vicki hearing those some of the suggestions and recommendations that we heard at that meeting.
Yes.
Maybe at a future council meeting.
Yeah.
And I especially, want to acknowledge Jay Baker with all the work he did to make our website a little bit more inclusive, and very excited for the launch of our new 21st century website.
Yes, that's very true. It was an excellent meeting, and the issue doesn't go away. So we want to continue to be on it. Val and I have spoken a little bit about that also, Chris. Somehow we're going to get together, maybe talk a little bit. How do we take the next step forward after? Because that committee has completed its task, but that doesn't mean that the conversation needs to stop. So I agree completely. We're not going to just let it go. We're going to continue to work on diversity and equity and all of those things that are so very important for our community. Things that, since I've been on the council, many folks have worked right alongside of me, and you're one of them, Chris. So we're going to continue. But thank you, Chris. That's great.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring up, if everyone's all done, I wanted to speak a little bit. We had received some information and a number of correspondence from one of our residents, Nick, who's on our meeting this evening, concerning the bears and people who are feeding the bears, and should we get an ordinance, explore an ordinance for it. So I got in touch with our animal control officer, Josh Carabin, and we had a lengthy discussion, and he couldn't be with us tonight, but he did write a letter to us concerning the wildlife in Southington. I'm going to read it into the record, and I'm going to make this available for our minutes. So, Kathy, you don't have to actually copy the letter, because I'm going to hand it in to Kathy I'm sorry, Linda, you don't have to do it verbatim, because I'm going to hand it in to Kathy to attach it to the minutes. Is that okay? But I did want to put it on the record because I know Nick is with us right now. And he begins the letter: as the days get shorter and nights cooler at this time of year, there is an increase in the number of calls to animal control from town residents with wildlife concerns. It's completely normal for wildlife to become more active in the fall as they scavenge for food to increase their fat reserves for the upcoming winter. It's sort of like what we've been doing since the COVID crisis. But most residents have questions that can be answered over the phone, or simply want to make us aware of the presence of the wildlife in their neighborhood, while others do require a response from an animal control or police. In 2019, we responded to 498 wildlife-related calls in Southington, which was an increase from 2018, when we responded to 380 wildlife-related calls. While the vast majority of these calls involve smaller animals, such as raccoons or skunks, we do respond to numerous complaints involving larger animals, mainly bears. The majority of these calls come from spring and fall seasons, as a significant amount of the complaints involving bear involve some type of property damage being reported by the complainant. Some of the most common damages reported include bears destroying bird feeders, damaging fencing, damaging koi ponds, and bear rummaging through garbage. Although less common, we have also had some more concerning complaints of bears entering garages that have been left open. In one particular case, a bear broke into a screened porch on 3 separate occasions in order to get the bird seed that was being stored there. With that being said, there are several things residents can do to avoid conflicts with nuisance bears. The first and the most important thing residents can do is to remove any food sources from their property during the bear activity months, which generally runs from mid-March to late November. This should include taking down bird feeders, storing bird seed or pet food indoors, storing garbage cans inside whenever possible, not disposing of food scraps in compost piles, and feeding pets inside. Residents should also clear their grills regularly and store them inside whenever possible. If storing garbage cans indoors is not an option, ammonia can be poured over the rubbish inside the garbage can to discourage bears from eating it. We have also received a few complaints in recent years from individuals who have reported that a neighbor is feeding bears. In this case, it was found that there were a large amount of corn and other wildlife feed being left out for deer and turkeys, which was also attracting bears. This is strongly discouraged during the bear active months. Bears will become dependent on that food source, keeping them close to residential properties and increasing the likelihood of a negative interaction. Lastly, it is very important that dog owners keep their pets leashed while enjoying the outdoors. Statewide, there has been a number of incidents in recent years where a dog has cornered a bear and subsequently has been injured by the bear. In at least one of these cases, the dog owner was also injured by the bear while trying to separate the two. Residents are reminded that Town Ordinance 312-24 prohibits dog owners from allowing their pets to roam off leash and on any town properties. If you unexpectedly encounter a bear, make your presence known and move away slowly. The bear in our region are accustomed to seeing people and tend not to flee. However, they have little interest in people and should not approach or pose any threat if you are moving away and make noise. Bear are magnificent creatures, and oftentimes we find residents will try to approach them to take photographs. This is strongly discouraged as you can be perceived as a threat to the bear and inadvertently corner it. Any bear that is acting abnormal, lingering in an area for a prolonged period of time, damaging or entering property, is in close proximity to a school or childcare, or in the densely populated areas of town, should be reported to animal control, DEP, or the police. The bear population in our area is steadily increasing and will likely continue to increase in the foreseeable future. It is my belief by taking these few precautionary steps, Southington residents and the bear that now call Southington their home can coexist with minimal conflict. And it's written by Josh Carabin. I just want to say this. One of the things that Josh has reported to me is that it is very important to understand that we are right now in a very active season for the bears. They're going to try to bulk up. And so it's very important for us to be diligent in not providing a food source for them. I understand people love animals and they love wildlife and they're in their yards, even if they have a great deal of acreage or whatever. But it's so very important that bears do not rely on a food source. So during this time, take down those bird feeders and please, please, please do not put out food to feed the bears or the deer because it will attract the bear. Although Josh felt that at this juncture that an ordinance would not be necessary, he did offer that if anybody's having a problem, maybe their neighbor is feeding the wildlife and they don't realize how serious that can be, that Josh would be very happy to discuss it with them, to talk to the neighbors and the friends and anybody who has a problem at this point in time. He's offered that, and I think that's very important. So I wanted to read it into the record because I wanted everybody to hear it all at the same time. It will be part of our formal record for this meeting. To the members of the council, if there's any questions, I'd be very happy to discuss it and put it on the record as well. So I just wanted to open up to the council at this point in time. Later, we'll have public communication.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think maybe, based on the input from the public, maybe we could put that some kind of a brief statement from Animal Control Officer Carabin, maybe on our town website, just so that it's out there, just to inform the public.
I think that's a great idea, Tom, and I think maybe posting this this letter on our town website would be very, very important.
Yeah.
People are not trying to be mean; they were just trying for the bears to be safe. Because if they get used to coming closer and closer to our homes and to our children, to our family, and to our pets or whatever, it's really putting the bear in real jeopardy. Because we can't allow that to happen if a bear becomes aggressive. So
Yeah, I think a little education will go a long way here.
I think that's a great idea, Tom. We'll do that. Anybody else have any questions or anything?
Chair?
Yeah, hi, Val. Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Did Josh talk much about enforcement, if it ever became a problem? And does he know if other towns enforce these types of ordinances?
He did say there are a couple of ordinances there, but he wasn't familiar really on the enforcement of it. He felt that right now he's had a couple of calls about problems with bears going through garbage and what have you. But he feels that if he gets involved and talks to the neighbors or talks to the people, that they can, through education, maybe something can change a little bit. We haven't had a huge amount. I think he said 2 calls this season. So, so he feels comfortable that they can handle it at this juncture. But of course, if they run into trouble, then certainly we would want to hear back from him.
Okay,
Paul?
thank you.
Madam Chair. Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. The one other thing that we can do is lobby our state representatives to have a limited hunting season. Right now, Connecticut does not allow for hunting in bears. And, we had a problem a long time ago with deer population being really high, and it was causing a lot of accidents on roadways. And the DEP managed that by, increasing the bag limits on deer. Years ago, there was a problem with coyotes as well, and even to some degree now, the state created a nuisance law which allowed for hunters to also harvest coyotes in certain situations, and that population seems to be easing a little bit as well. I think some sort of a limited hunting in the state, like they do in other states, could also alleviate that, because we can't control the population in Connecticut like we do with other animals that are harvested. So I would also offer that we should probably talk to our state representatives and senators about a limited hunting season where they could properly manage the population.
Well, it's something to talk about and think about. Certainly anybody can contact our legislators and speak about that. I'm not sure how I personally feel about that, but we certainly can do that individually. So that's good. All right. Is there anybody else on the council that wanted to make a statement about all of this? Okay. Very good. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We're going to move along to special committees. Our first committee is going to be self-insurance. And Chris, are you going to report, or Tom, are you going to report?
Councilman Poulos will be. I was unable to attend the meeting, so family obligations. So,
Great.
Councilman Poulos.
Bring us up to date, please.
Sure, not a problem. We met on September 16th by video conference, and I have 3 items to report. The first was a recap of last year. So as you know, our health insurance runs from July 1st to June 30th. And we got confirmation that we were $2.4 million under budget. Now that seems like a great amount, but as Councilman Lombardi and I have reported previously, it was a delay of procedures, voluntary procedures, no dental claims during the COVID during March, April, and May. So what happened was people were staying home; they weren't going to the doctors, and so we had budgeted all these expenses that we didn't have. As a result, we now have a $9.6 million in our reserve, which is up $2.4 million from the beginning of the year. Now, it is a very healthy reserve. But most of this reserve, it's anticipated, will be accessed and spent for all the makeup claims we're going to have this year. So people are going to, they can't avoid certain health issues and so they're going to go to those appointments that they missed in the spring, and we're going to have to tap into the reserve because there's going to be more claims. So that's where we are for 1920. It will be interesting to see really where we end at the end of this year after we've had a year going through after everything was shut down. The next item to report is where we stand during this cycle. So we started a new cycle on July 1st. Currently, we're $831,000 under budget. Again, it's early in the year, so people haven't hit their deductible. So people are still paying for their medical until they hit their deductible, and we typically see a higher amount of money being paid towards claims as we get through the midway point of the health year. And the last thing we discussed was the split, the percentage split between the town and the Board of Education. We're still analyzing the data that's been provided to us by our consultant. Currently, we have a 76% Board of Ed, 24% town split in terms of how we fund the health insurance budget. And we're looking to see if an adjustment would be appropriate in this upcoming budget. But again, we wanted to have as much data as we could to make that decision. And the consultant said we could talk about it in October when he has more info to share. Those are the 3 items I have to report.
Thank you very much. It'll be interesting to see where that split goes, Councilman Poulos, you know?
Yes, I mean, there's language in our policy that talks about no more than a 0.5% shift. However, there are circumstances where that could be greater, but everyone is being very cautious, and they don't want to disrupt anyone's budget. But we want to do what's right, but we don't want to surprise anyone. So we're taking a serious look, and we'll have more information after our October meeting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any questions for Councilman Poulos? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to our Open Space Committee. Paul?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I am having some intermittent problems with my video, so apologies if my video is either delayed or not working throughout the meeting a little bit. Just a few items, and Chris Palmieri can feel free to chime in as well if I missed anything. I've got 3 or 4 items to update on. The first was Chris has been working on the Pleasant View property and getting the donated shed over to there. So the subcommittee approved getting some help to locate that storage shed on site. Chris is working with town staff to ensure that gets moved over here in the weeks ahead. We had a request for winterizing a small greenhouse on the Academy Street property, which the subcommittee approved moving forward on. Staff's working on that. We had various updates on fall mowings of some of the haying fields. So a lot of good maintenance going on with the various farmers in our community. And we began some discussions about the preservation or the fixing of the Grosky barn roof. So we are in the process of getting some quotes for that. And that's all I had, Madam Chair. Chris, anything you want to add?
No, great job.
Chris, could I just ask you, what's the time frame for the shed being put on Pleasant Street?
It was supposed to actually have already been moved, and Annette has been great. She's been working with Gabe as well in the highway department. When they went out there to move it, it was actually too big for them to transport it safely. So now we have to subcontract that work out. So it was just approved last week at the open space meeting to hire someone to do that. And actually today, Dave LaValle and I connected. He's going to move forward and reach out to a contractor to move it for us.
It'll be great to see it there. Thanks, Chris. I just had a question on it.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much. Any questions for open space? Hearing none, let's move on to the town manager's report. Mr. Shota, can you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
First, I'd like to ask Shane Lockwood, who I believe is on the call, to give us a brief update. I know that Mike touched base on we had a partial phase 3 opening, but Shane's going to brief us on the health district and currently what's happening in our community. Shane.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for letting me have a minute to give you an update. I just want to let you know, as Councilman Del Santo mentioned, we're excited for our local businesses to move into phase 3. We've started to email for places that we license the guidelines out. I expect some questions to come in, but I think right now all of our businesses are pretty used to it and doing a great job. I would like to remind the public and the businesses. The reason why we've gotten here is Connecticut's been really diligent on things such as wearing masks, washing hands, staying away from others if you're sick. So please continue that to be able to give our businesses that chance to get to phase 3 and continue doing that. We are starting to see on a statewide basis increase in cases. We've seen it locally also. But I think one of the big differences right now compared to the spring is the contact tracing. And that's where if someone gets a positive diagnosis, local health, school officials, nurses are contacting them, talking about their history with them prior to the symptoms and to the diagnosis. And then we're able to talk to those closest to them. And if needed, we're asking people for the self-quarantine. I got to really compliment the school system right now. Tim, Michelle Passamano, Kathy O'Hare, and all the school nurses are doing a fantastic job making calls on nights, weekends, and in constant communication. This is a lot of our cases for contact happen on a school-wide basis, or at least those are the ones that we're getting the most information on. And all of our decisions are on a group level with myself, Tim, and Kathy O'Hare. So they're doing a great job with this. So as we move forward, again, we're going to keep pushing the wear your mask, stay away from others if you're sick, maintain social distancing. I think that we've been really, really solid with that in the state, and I hope it continues. So that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Shane?
Vicki?
Chris, yes.
Not so much a question, but having experienced everything from the other end, professionally during the day, Shane, I just want to acknowledge you because your guidance, your expertise, your knowledge is absolutely immeasurable. And we want to thank you for all the work that you do. Each day is a new challenge. And really, Shane, you bring a calming presence to everything, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shane. Anyone else? Thank you, Shane. Mark?
Madam Chair, the next item I have is a report from our financial advisor. We have a historic opportunity here. Interest rates, as all of you are aware, are near record lows. And this gives us quite an opportunity. Matt, are you on? Matt Spurn, he is our financial consultant. He is our financial consultant. Okay, Matt. Yeah. I'm here, Mark. In my office is our finance director, Chief here. And Matt is also here. So, Matt, can you take us on this? What our request is of the council?
Sure, Mark. And good evening to the council members and everyone involved today. What we're here for is to act on a resolution to be able to refinance some of the town's bonds that had been issued in 2011, 12, and 14. There's around 20 million of bonds outstanding. And in addition, there's about 8 or 9 million on the state Clean Water Fund loans outstanding at the 2% threshold that we want to also have the opportunity to potentially refund. And the goal tonight would be to get that resolution voted on and approved. Very simply, as many of you are probably aware, interest rates are at all-time lows. They have been sort of since March when things really started to go downhill to April, they've stabilized, and we're at a scenario where we have a 10-year treasury at 65 basis points and rates that we've never seen before in history. So basically, we're hopeful that we get the approval to refinance. The goal would be, obviously, to issue bonds at much lower rates and realize significant debt service savings. I mean, if we're able to, I think the easier part is refinancing the bonds. We obviously would issue a new bond issue and replace the old. The state Clean Water Fund component is a little bit trickier because the state has been somewhat, I don't know if reluctance is the right word, but there's some more hoops to jump through with that. So we don't have anything final on when that timing might be, but to get the approval of everything at the same time is the most efficient way to do it. And we could proceed hopefully through, by the end of October, get the deal together with the town, get our credit ratings, our official statement, and look to price the bond sometime at the end of October or early November. Hopefully rates, we want to try to get in before the election because who the hell knows what's going to happen. Depending on how that goes, there could be all kinds of volatility from a market perspective. So try to get in before that. And potentially the town could save substantial money, potentially over $1 million, well in excess of $1 million that, would probably be spread throughout the remaining term, but it's a big number. So we want to take advantage of that.
Thanks, Matt. Matt's here and Amelia is here to answer any questions you have.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. I don't know if that echoes back again. So if it is, let's address that. But thank you, Matt, for the presentation. Can you just update the public on what firm you're with, and then also for the town manager? It sounds like a no-brainer. We're going to save significant amount of money on the refinance. But what kind of fees are we paying? Is this service being provided by Matt's firm exclusively, or what were the options there? I know in the report, the bond issuance is handled by the law firm of Day Pitney, but how are the services derived, basically?
Matt, you could explain
I'll help you with that one.
Matt, you could explain it.
Sure. I'm Matt Spurndle. I'm senior managing director at Phoenix Advisors, and we are the town's municipal advisor. It used to be called financial advisor. Now it's called municipal advisor per SEC regs. I've been working with the town for, 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. So in every deal, there's the issuer, which is the town. There's bond counsel, which is the attorney, which would be Dave Pitney. There's the municipal advisor, which in this case is us. And ultimately, there'll be an underwriter who purchases the bonds and sells them to their investors, et cetera. So that's kind of my role. I work with the town on all the issues, all rating agency presentations, those types of things that go into these things. And as far as it's always a question of cost, the numbers that will be represented in terms of savings. So if we're saving $1 million, that's actually net of costs. Yep. So if we're saving $1.1 million, it's $100,000 when you talk about attorneys and rating agency fees, RFP, et cetera. Those numbers are all net of cost. So if it gets to a point, so on the one hand, if it gets to a point and something catastrophic happens, interest rates go and double overnight or something like that, and we pull the plug on the deal, town pays nothing because we didn't do the deal. So it's just kind of the nature of how these things go. But then ultimately, when the deal is priced and obviously the savings are where the town, meet the town's objectives, then obviously all fees are paid at that point out of proceeds, and there's no extra, fees or anything like that to the town. So that's kind of how it works.
That answers my questions. I just wanted the public to be made aware. It's an existing relationship, and it's kind of an ongoing work all the time versus, and this popped out as, hey, let's take action here, as opposed to, this is a special project. We need to look at different, so this is part of your relationship with the town. So,
right. It's part of sort of our ongoing, what we do ongoing. I mean, on the one hand, the town has a new project, a school project, what have you. They say, Matt, we need to do a bond issue. Then we get the ball rolling. But other than that, there's all these other things that happen behind the scenes. One of which is whenever there's an opportunity to refinance or rates are in a great spot, we provide that feedback to then say, listen, this exists, and perhaps the town would want to pursue it. In this case, it looks like we definitely do.
Good. Thank you.
My
Any
pleasure.
other questions for Matt or for Matt? Okay, Val, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. And Tom, thanks for asking that question. That really helps out as far as the cost. Matt and maybe Mark, so to me, this is kind of like refinancing, right? I mean, we're definitely going to get lower interest rates. So
that's the purpose of it. You're correct.
Pardon me?
That actual purpose of it, correct? Because like many people who are refinancing in your world right now,
Right.
This is the town doing the same thing, and we're saving it over the next, say, 10 or 12 years.
Right. So my question mark is, so that's how I'm thinking about it. Does the maturity date change? Are there different redemption provisions that change, or everything else stays?
Matt will correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not allowed to increase the actual amount, the term of the bond. So let's assume the bond is a 20-year bond and there's 11 years left on it. All we can do is 11 years. We're not entitled to go from 20 years to that point. The bond itself during its initial issuance, and Matt, please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the maximum. So to answer your question, the answer is no. It's not like refinancing where you can go from a 30-year mortgage and then pay it off for 10 years and go for another 30-year mortgage. In essence, we can only do 20 years based upon your thought pattern on that.
Okay, thank you.
You understand?
That's absolutely, Mark is absolutely correct.
Anyone else have a question? Okay, Mark, thank you. It's down for action under item 8. So item B, please, municipal building purchase.
Madam Chair, if I may, this is an actual thank you to obviously the last council and this council. Wednesday is a very important date for the town. We have, at long last, we'll be purchasing the municipal center. So that'll be town property as of Wednesday afternoon. So congratulations, obviously, to both the last council, this council, and I believe it's in the best interest of all the citizens, as they certainly told us during the referendum. So that's good news for us. Madam Chair, we do have executive session. There'll be no action out of executive session.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for the town manager tonight? Thank you, Mr. Schroeder, for everything. Thank you. Let's move on. Town attorney's report. Jeremy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to give an update on continuation of September 14th meeting about some zoning violations that we had in town. At that point, I briefly talked about 2 different situations we had going down that we're considering court action on to move forward, and I do have some updates. The first one is a property on Andrew Street that was violating running a commercial business out of the property, as well as storing commercial vehicles over the weight of 1 ton on the property. We did, on September 18th, serve a cease and desist on the resident. There is a process we have to go forward. We'll hope they'll comply with it before that period of time, but we will check in on that, as well as if they don't comply within the statutory period of time, then we will serve an injunction and a lawsuit on the resident. Hopefully, of course, we hope we could come to a resolution with the residents' help by that time. The second issue, I think everybody's aware of now after this past weekend with all the news stories about it. This would be 375 to Passion Street. On September 22nd, a lawsuit for an injunction was filed in the Superior Court by the town of Southington. As of today's date, the court has not taken any action on that, but we do expect that to happen soon. So we just want to let everybody know that town is taking action, has taken action even before the news story has came out. But obviously, since the court papers are filed, it has become a news story. But hopefully, we are definitely hopeful in the next week's period of time, whether by court order or while working with the resident, we will come to a good conclusion to this, and this hopefully will not be an issue in the future. I'll take any questions that any of the council members have right now.
Yeah, council, please understand that these situations are under litigation, so be cautious in our questioning. But certainly, Val, your hand is up. If you have a question, go ahead.
Yes, just a procedural question, Jeremy. So for the Andrew Street situation, so the cease and desist order is in the court. There's 30 days, and then an injunction would be filed. What's the time frame for the court to hear the injunction?
The violation has been sent out, a notice of violation and a cease and desist to the resident. They do have, as you mentioned, that 30-day period of time to appeal it to the zoning board. But after that, we can immediately file suit without further notice to the resident what is the time limit on the injunction? Right now, it's, it's at the court's discretion. Obviously, we ask for it to be as soon as possible. But it's whenever it gets onto the court schedule and the judge is able to rule on it. With the other case, we filed it last Wednesday. It's now Monday. It hasn't been ruled on, but usually it's within a week's period of time. I can't guarantee anything the way the court works, but usually they rule on those injunctions pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly. Okay, thank you.
Jeremy, just, as a reminder to the court, if it gets that way, it's been waiting many years for this moment. And we hope that the court would hear it as quickly as possible. So, but thank you for your action, Jeremy. It's very important. I know we do have some members of the neighbors that have been working so hard to bring about this moment. So thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Jeremy? Okay, hearing none, we're moving forward. And for public communication. Now, Paul, you're going to handle public communication. Are we going to listen to those that are on computers first and then take the phone calls after?
Apologies, I'll unmute. Yeah, Madam Chair, we can do that for the people who are on computers. Now would be time for public communication. If you would like to unmute yourself and speak, please go ahead and do that. Now's the time.
Okay, just as a format, I just want to invite anyone who's going to speak. You have a 5-minute rule. We're here to listen. We're not here necessarily to engage. We ask that you would be respectful to the council, and we in turn, of course, will be respectful with you. So whoever would like to go ahead and speak to the council, I see Nick Rinaldi's hand is up. So Paul, maybe we can get Nick up first, and then we can take the rest of the folks who are on computer. Thanks, Nick. Go ahead.
Yep. Thank you. I'll keep it real short. I do appreciate Chairwoman Triano's reading of the letter from the animal control officer. Rest assured, I'll be contacting him tomorrow.
Nick, just your name and address for the record, please.
I'm sorry?
Just your name and address for the record.
Yeah, sorry. Nick Rinaldi, 51 Farmingberry Drive. So again, my only concern has been pointed out, is enforcement. And the issue is one or two neighbors in a neighborhood. And my hope is that he'll come out and talk to them. I'm not sure what will happen at that point. If nothing happens, then I don't know where I go from there. But we'll take it a step at a time. And I have made contact with some of my other neighbors, and I'm sure they will be contacting him as well. So I appreciate you bringing it up, and I appreciate the animal control officer's input.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Nick, if they continue to feed the bears, I personally would think that not only does it cause a nuisance in the neighborhood, it's putting animals and people at risk. So let's hope that that Josh can speak with them and educate and go from there.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Paul?
If there's anybody else who's on the computer that would like to speak, you can either unmute yourself now or type a note in the chat function to let us know that you would like to speak.
See anyone, Paul?
Okay, Madam Chair, it doesn't look like there's anybody else on the computer who wishes to speak, and I'm not sure if we have anybody on the phones, but I see one person. I'll unmute. I'm unsure of who it is, but if there's anybody on the phone lines right now, somebody who called in that would like the opportunity to speak during public communications, your line is unmuted now.
Yes, my name is Scott Dodge. I live at 73 Farmingberry Drive. I'm the next door neighbor to Nick Rinaldi.
Hi, Scott.
And I would just hi there. I would just echo his sentiments with regard to the bears. His problem is my problem, and I used to be able to keep bees, in my yard, and now I can't because the hives have been wrecked a couple times. So, I think the fact that the bears are I've been accustomed to people. I mean, I've had several stare downs with bears, 50 feet away, then just look at you. So, there's going to be a problem at some point, and some of them, may get hurt. But it's hard that you slip up once in terms of leaving something out or whatever, and you can see the evidence of the bears there. And I get up in the morning and I can see tracks across my lawn. So it's a regular feature that they're in the neighborhood. So, as Nick pointed out, there does appear to be one of our neighbors that is actively trying to feed them, and the trail to get to that spot is across both my lawn and Nick's lawn. So we see them on a regular basis.
And they're really not doing the bears any favor. So,
No, they're not. No, so.
All right. Well, please,
Anyway.
Scott, maybe you and Nick could also talk to Josh together or separately or whatever. But let's see what we can do.
I'd
situation.
be happy to. I'll connect with Nick and we can talk to them together.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair. I don't see anybody else on the phone.
Okay, let's go. All right, let's move on then. Let's go on to old business, item 8. Old business. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, could I ask a motion, because this is actually has to be very formal. My suggested motion would be to approve a resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds to refund various of the town's outstanding obligations and to pay costs of issuance and refunding bonds. That would be my suggested motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make.
Del Santo.
Okay, well, Tom, you were also in, so Tom, I think you started. So Tom, you will make the motion, and Mike, you'll second it. Is that all right?
That's fine. That's Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yep. Motion as presented by the town manager.
Right. Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Roll call necessary, or?
Well, you know what? If we
Absolutely right. I couldn't get mute off in time to say roll call vote.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Valerie
Yes.
Tom Lombardi,
Yes.
James Morelli,
Yes.
Christopher Palmer,
Yes.
Christopher Poulos,
Yes.
Paul Japlinski,
Absolutely.
Michael Del Santo,
Yes.
Victoria.
Yes, thank you. The motion carries unanimously. New business, tax refunds. Councilwoman DiPaolo.
Oh, you're muted, Val.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I'll make a motion that we approve the tax refunds as outlined in our packet.
I'll second.
Very good. Chris seconded it. Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. We are about to go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion in 1 second.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to enter
just
into
1 second,
executive
please.
session barring the press and
Mike,
public.
hang in there 1 second.
Just 1 second, please. I just want to remind everyone that we will not be coming back into open session, that this, in fact, will be the end of the business for open session for tonight. So having just...
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just a point of order. Do I need to continue the recording, or after we move on to this, we can stop this recording?
we stop this recording, and
Thank
however, there is an executive session link. So
Yep.
we'll go on to the executive session link.
Gotcha.
Okay, everybody?
Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to go into executive session barring the press and the public, and including, Mark, is anyone included? Other than
Town manager, town attorney.
town manager and the town attorney, Madam Chair.
Very good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everybody in the press and the public, and we appreciate you. See you all, the members of the council, in the executive session in a moment. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Night.
Aye. Aye.